Hi, good morning. This is Fred Henning from Out of Box Wealth. Hope you're having a blessed day and you and your family are doing well. And really just happy to start another day in a beautiful, wonderful, positively energetic way out here in Mother Nature and just feel the energy. And this morning I was thinking, if you look behind me here, when you first glance into the water, it doesn't really look like there's anything there. And then I always, throw a little bit of feed in there, and it's just so amazing. There's just swarms and swarms of little tiny fish that come out, and they come out from underneath the rocks. And then, as the feed goes down through the stream, you see more fish come out, and seemingly out of nowhere, because I've stood and looked and tried to see them, and they're easier to see when you get down further because the water's a little bit deeper. But at first glance, you usually don't see anything right here. But you just seed it a little bit. You just put a little bit of seed in the water, and it's amazing, how many come out of there. And there literally are swarms because you see them fighting over, the food while it goes down through there. And I thought, wow, that's really, really impressive to see that these fish can come out of seemingly nowhere and have quite an energetic display. And I like it because it, for me, seeing the fish eating, I'm thinking that they're grateful, a free meal. And, so it creates gratitude. I'm grateful because I get to see just how amazingly wonderful and athletic they are. And so it just really, really induces a feeling of gratitude. I'm thinking for both of us. I'm pretty sure just about everything is happy when they have something to eat. And so the idea of gratitude and the idea of seeding gratitude, of making choices to be able to promote, to induce, to create gratitude is incredibly powerful. And when we understand the feeling of gratitude and we understand the way that energy works, it can be it's not just a stepping stone. It can be, it can literally launch you into new experiences of positive manifestation and positive experience in your life. And what's so cool that we're finding now is in our own DNA. And for so long, the focus on the research in our DNA was just on disease. And it's what what was the motivation behind that? Well, you can decide for yourself. But when we look at some of the more recent research, and they're finding out the things that were passed down to us that are not only positive in our DNA, but quite amazing. I mean, really, truly quite amazing. And the potential that we have, in our chemistry makeup, in the chemistry makeup of our vehicle, our body, is incredibly phenomenal. The example being, I can't remember if it's melatonin or serotonin, but one of those, which we produce naturally in our brain, is what was found to be the chemical that creates the electricity in electric eels. So by creating an emotion, these eels, an emotion of self-preservation, what they are able to do is they are able to create an electric charge. And it's quite potential. It's quite amazing, the electrical charge itself. And you find out that we have the same compounds, we have the same elements within ourselves. And for spirit seekers, those of you who are touched by Jesus's example of going up to the mountaintop, taking Peter, James, and John with him, and he turned into a light being before their eyes. It's called the Transfiguration. And he turned into a light being before their eyes, and also there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, Moshe and Elijah, and they were there with him. And so there was just an incredible example of human potential. And the understanding too is that it's available for all of us. And now with everything that they're finding in DNA, in our own DNA, in the chemistry of our bodies, it's not just airy fairy. It's not, out there for just a few crazy people. We find out that it's a program that is already installed. It's pre-installed in our being. And how many people are aware of it? How many people are finding these things out? Well, with what I do, I call people every day, usually at least 50 new people every day. Actually, the truth is that there are a lot of people. There is just a really, really powerful, really strong movement and awakening to spirituality, spiritual ideas that I'm finding is quite incredible, and finding that firsthand, in a boots on the ground experience. And so I'm finding that there actually is a powerful movement of enlightenment happening now, without all the separation, without all the names, without all the denominations, which if you haven't done the history, if you haven't been exposed to the history, in Yeshua's time, there weren't any denominations, there weren't any people saying, I'm of this, I'm of that. It was later when people started saying, well, I'm of Paul and I'm of Apollos and all these other things. And then, Paul admonished them and said, hey, I'm of Christ. It's a Christ consciousness. The Messiah, the Christ, came to give us the ability to connect to Christ consciousness. And we find out with all of the ancient sites that have survived. And we say they have survived. We know that there have been mass extinction events on our planet several times. And the things that have survived, aside from Mother Nature, the man-made things, are the ancient sites, the pyramids, Göbekli Tepe, the structures, the heads, or they're actually almost full body statues on Easter Island, the sacred sites in South America and all over the world. And we find out that the ancients recognize something, and that when they recognize that there's a cycle, life and the timeline that we're actually experiencing is cyclic. It's a cycle. It's not linear. It's not just it starts here and it ends here. It's not going in just one direction. It's a cycle. It's that these energies are raising to a high level, and when they raise to this level, something happens. They come down to this level and something happens. And they recognize these cycles. The Vedic teaching from Hindu manuscripts teach of these cycles, and they're actually quite long. And there's also smaller cycles, there's shorter cycles. But anyway, the ancients recognized this, and they built structures. They built structures that would survive. And in these structures are encoded information. They're encoded in the sacred geometry. They're coded in the places that they are placed, and the constellations that they are pointing at, the directions that they're aligned with. When you look at the pyramids, the Great Pyramid, it's just amazing the way that they are aligned with space, with constellations, with things that are quite far away, and yet they're perfectly aligned. And within the Renaissance, and with the Renaissance paintings, and again we find this wisdom surfacing again, because in the Renaissance paintings, especially the paintings by Da Vinci, not only by Da Vinci, but they're some of the most famous. The Salvator Mundi is very, very powerful. But when you look at the messages and you look at the information that is coded in these, that point to these structures, that point to the pyramids, and point to the teaching that the ancients left for us, left for the human race, so that we wouldn't lose. So we wouldn't lose these teachings. We wouldn't lose these understandings. It is more than amazing. It is incredibly powerful, and it is available to all of us. And the great thing now about the internet is that all wisdom is there for us. It's all out there. And so it's a great time for everyone to be aware of themselves energetically. Be aware of who you are. Gnothi Seyutan. Know yourself. Know who you are energetically. Know what you're capable of. And what you find is that there is creative energy that is flowing to all of us on a constant, uninterrupted basis. Constantly. But what are we doing with it? Are we using our focus to use our creative energy to create things that are not beneficial to us and the people around us, doing that by focusing on the influence that is thrust upon the multitudes and almost being force-fed seemingly to the herd race. Sorry if that offends somebody, but I think it's a great way to get a visualization of it. Or are you being the one that stands out? Are you recognizing these energies and are you focusing them on what you want? And gratitude is the most powerful way, the most powerful experience for you to be able to connect to and harness the law of creation and focus it on a manifestation, a series of manifestations, an ongoing manifestation of the life that you want to live. And it's very, very powerful. Where the focus is where the energy is going to follow. And where the energy follows, there is where you're going to see your manifestation. And speaking of programs, it's so powerful to think of the natural energies that exist in the earth. When you look at behind me, very, very powerful, mighty, wonderful oak tree. And just so powerful to think that to create this beautiful, wonderful oak tree behind me, all you need is one acorn. And the great thing is the power of that one acorn. When you take the acorn, which you can consider to be a program, because it is a program, it's a DNA sequence, it's all the material that is needed to create the oak tree that you see behind me. But when you take that acorn and you put it in the ground and it connects to the subtle energies that are already there, and you allow it its time, when you allow it its own program to start, to be able to run, and to be able to begin its process of growth. It's only an amount of time. It's only a matter of time until you will have the oak tree. And that's so powerful. Those types of seeds are available to all of us. And like the stream here, we can sow the seeds upstream. We can sow the seeds in our now, in our present moment, and allow them to flow downstream into our future and create what we desire. And we can, in our mind, in our visualization, we can already travel downstream. We can travel downstream to our future and imagine what it's like to already have what we are manifesting in our visualization now. And so what we are imagining, what we are visualizing, when we stand praying, we believe that we receive what we are asking for already. When we go downstream and we imagine ourselves as already have experienced it, as already having it, as already possessing it. Feel what it feels like to have it. Smell the smells, feel the feelings, see the sights, hear the words, speak the words, imagine it and experience it, feel it and experience the unfolding of the program. Just like that acorn growing into the oak tree, we're able to manifest our own personal desires by following the instructions of Neville and living from the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. And when we look at indigenous tribes, some people, see what appear to be primitive paintings of animals on the walls, and we find out that the teaching is that hey, that's all that they needed to be able to envision them. It's not that they said, hey, let's draw a deer. I draw deer today. It's the idea of ancient man, that ancient man was just some little bit above a gorilla, stumbling around trying to figure things out. And we find out that our ancestors were a zillion times more brilliant and more experiential in life, than we are experiencing right now. And we know that from the DNA sequences that are handed down to us. But when we find, these caves and these cave drawings, you find out that that's what they did. They drew pictures of what they wanted. If they were hunters and they wanted buffalo, if they were farmers or they wanted corn, that's what they were doing. They were going in these places, they were getting quiet, and they were just imagining themselves with what they want already surrounding them. And when they did that, they understood that that's the way to manifest. So they were living from the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So very, very powerful. The ancients knew this, and this is part of the message that they passed down to us, that they created in indestructible structures, in pyramids, in megalithic sites, in paintings on the walls, in all types of amazing ways, so that this knowledge, this understanding could be passed down to us. And when you think there is always the handing down of pure knowledge, of true wisdom, that is not for creating some type of benefit for somebody who's trying to manipulate the masses. When we look even in our own country and we look at the founding fathers, I remember one of the statements that was quoted after they finished the Constitution. Someone said, well, hey, what type of government did you give us? And I can't remember who it was, but they said, a representative republic, if you can keep it. And very, very powerful. But when you look back to these people and you look back to their influence, you look back and you can just look now and you find, well, what did they do? Well, they built structures too. They built capitals, and in the capitals, especially Washington, D.C., and you look at the Capitol building and you'll find what many are calling the Ascension Dome. And you look up and you see George Washington as a ascended being on the ceiling of this dome. And again, with the influential technique and creative artistry of the Renaissance painters, you find just so many truths, so many hidden wisdoms. And these people who did in fact give us the nation that we stand in right now, they also built structures that would last and that would convey to those who are listening, those who are understanding, those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, the true message of humanity and what we're capable of and who we truly are, Gnothi Seuton. So when we understand that there is an ascension message, very, very same message that was being shared in Yeshua's time. Again, there wasn't, I'm of Paul or I'm of Apollos or anything like that. There is, we are God's highest creation. We are made in God's image, and we are here for the purpose of understanding ourselves, the purpose of understanding this vehicle of our body, and to understand how to use it and to transform it and to transmute it and to transfigure it into an ascension being, a light being our own authentic self, and then being able to ascend into a higher being and experience the fullness of the universe and the fullness of the purpose of all creation. And so it's very, very powerful. And so gratitude is so powerful to be able to apply and to choose as a program for yourself, to double click, to tap that app and allow it to start to do its work, because the programming, the app is already there, it's already within us. And when we delete any of the malicious apps, when we get rid of malware, when we get rid of spyware, when we get rid of all of the other apps that just waste our own personal memory, and we activate the ones that manifest our own best good, our own health, our own wealth, our own well-being in all of our experiences, our own happiness, our own peace, our own prosperity, our own love, our own joy, our own highest self, manifesting in our highest experience and constantly multiplying, because the power in ascension is that we multiply. Spirit is always for expression and expansion. You are a spirit, you live in a body, and you have a soul. And the spirit in you is created in the image of the Creator, and that image is constantly expanding. The universe is constantly expanding. Light is constantly traveling in all directions, not just linear. It's every single direction. And that is the image of the power being that you are created in. So bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you and your family. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Love, peace, blessing, shalom unto you. Gnothi Seyutan. Namaste.